For me, this was... First of all, look, there's no books for young boys. We have abandoned them.
Every film has its own story, not just the one we watch unfold on screen, but also the one that plays out behind the camera. At times, that hidden narrative is far more captivating than the script itself. When It Ends With Us first entered production, fans anticipated a touching and heartfelt adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. Yet as filming got underway, quiet murmurs began to circulate. Rumors of tension, creative clashes, and behind-the-scenes power struggles between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Initially, few believed it. After all, how could there possibly be conflict between two figures renowned for their professionalism and composure? But soon, insider reports emerged. Reddit discussions gained traction, and subtle leaks began to paint a very different picture. That's when the narrative shifted. Suddenly, Blake Lively wasn't just the leading lady. She was at the center of the storm. Justin Baldoni wasn't merely directing a romantic drama, he was steering a production under enormous strain. And quietly observing from the sidelines was Ryan Reynolds, who, according to speculation, may have played a far greater part in the entire affair than anyone first imagined. In today's deep dive, we'll explore what truly went on behind the scenes of It Ends With Us. From Blake Lively's alleged creative control to Justin Baldoni's leadership approach, and the subtle influence of Ryan Reynolds that might have stopped everything from completely unraveling. Was this simply a clash of artistic visions, or something far deeper? A quiet battle for control disguised as collaboration. By the end of this video, you'll be able to decide for yourself. So, grab a cuppa, get comfortable, and let's uncover the story Hollywood didn't want you to see. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy these long-form breakdowns. It really helps the channel reach more viewers. And make sure to tap the bell icon so you never miss another story like this one. All right, let's dive in, before it ends. With Us ever reached cinemas, there were already murmurs, whispers suggesting a storm was brewing behind the cameras. Back in 2023, long before the film's release, a Reddit post emerged from someone claiming to have witnessed everything unfold right there on set. Initially, the post went largely unnoticed. But for those closely following Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's collaboration, it offered a fascinating glimpse into what might really have been happening when the cameras weren't rolling. The insider's account painted a tense and uneasy picture. According to their story, Justin Baldoni frequently dismissed creative feedback from Blake Lively, even when her input was said to be valuable. Tensions allegedly escalated to the point where the pair rehearsed scenes separately, relying on stand-ins rather than working together directly. The same post went on to make a striking claim. The studio ultimately used Blake Lively's edit of the film rather than Justin Baldoni's. Reportedly, Baldoni's version tested better with audiences, but his friction with Colleen Hoover, the author of the original novel, changed everything. Rumor had it that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds personally funded their own editor to produce her preferred cut of the movie. One particularly bold part of the story suggested that Blake hinted Taylor Swift's song would not be licensed for the film unless her version was chosen. Whether that's true or not, it added an entirely new layer to the power dynamics on set, a move few could have anticipated. It's difficult to say which version of events comes closest to the truth, but one thing seemed undeniable. The tension between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni was becoming too big to ignore. Then, someone who had actually been there, a working actor from the set, stepped forward to share their first-hand experience, revealing a very different side to both Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. When the rumors reached their peak, this insider, who had worked on It Ends With Us, decided to break their silence. Their account completely flipped the narrative, identifying themselves as a New York-based actor who appeared in one of the film's standout moments, the birthday party scene for Alyssa, played by Jenny Slate. They claimed to have witnessed everything up close. According to their first-hand description, much of the gossip circulating online simply wasn't true. Contrary to popular belief, Justin Baldoni wasn't cold or controlling. They described him as focused, kind, and deeply committed to both his performance and his directorial role. Balancing both acting and directing is notoriously challenging, yet according to The Insider, Justin managed it with patience and professionalism. They recalled how he personally thanked the background actors, telling them he too had once started out as one. "You're an important part of this scene and this film," he told them, earning genuine respect from everyone on set. He was described as approachable, calm, and thoughtful, often checking in with Colleen Hoover to ensure her story was being portrayed faithfully. The Insider said Justin was generous with his time, open to collaboration, and consistently respectful to everyone on set, from crew members to extras. Their account completely contradicted the negative image circulating online, instead portraying Justin Baldoni as the steady, grounded figure on a set filled with egos and high expectations. But while Justin came across as humble and centered, Blake Lively's presence told a different story, one that left those around her feeling equal parts awe, distance, and intimidation. Every film set has that one person whose very presence alters the entire atmosphere, and on It Ends With Us, that person was Blake Lively. The Insider didn't mince words when describing her demeanor during filming. She carried herself like a true Hollywood A-lister, confident, composed, and utterly focused on her craft. According to their account, Blake was the first to arrive, the last to leave, and the one everyone quietly watched. Yet that admiration came with a sense of detachment. The Insider admitted they rarely saw her interact with anyone outside the core production team. She didn't pause for photos, avoided idle chit-chat, and projected what they described as an almost untouchable aura. One comment stood out. They said it felt as though even staring too long might land you in trouble. Still, even those who found her intimidating couldn't deny her skill. The Insider described Blake Lively as remarkable to watch, a perfectionist who approached every scene with precision and expected the same from everyone around her. She wasn't rude, they clarified, but she exuded a commanding energy that reminded everyone exactly why she was the star. It wasn't arrogance, it was command. At the same time, whispers about Ryan Reynolds' influence continued to circulate. Some crew members believed that Blake Lively often consulted Ryan throughout production, particularly when discussions with Justin Baldoni became tense. Quiet rumors suggested that Ryan had helped arrange for the editor Blake preferred and may have supported her behind the scenes as she pushed for greater creative control. None of this was ever confirmed, of course, but it added yet another layer to the unfolding story, one in which Blake wasn't simply an actor, but a strategist, carefully shaping how her work would ultimately be seen. And just when it seemed the on-set tension had settled, new details emerged, ones that could permanently alter how fans viewed both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. By the time filming wrapped, the strain between the two wasn't just rumor, it had begun to influence how people within the industry spoke about them long before the film ever reached cinemas. When whispers from the set first surfaced online, they were easy to dismiss as typical Hollywood gossip. But as more accounts appeared, a pattern began to take shape. Crew members described Blake's intense, meticulous approach to her performance, while others spoke of Justin's calm but assertive leadership. Together, these accounts painted a portrait of two talented people who respected each other's work but had entirely different ways of achieving it. Publicly, neither Blake Lively nor Justin Baldoni addressed the speculation. They remained silent while the internet tried to connect the dots. That silence became part of the intrigue. Fans began dissecting red carpet clips, interview exchanges, and even subtle body language, every smile, every glance, analyzed for hints about who was truly in control. Behind the scenes, however, many believed Ryan Reynolds played a far larger role than most realized. According to quiet industry whispers, Ryan acted as both a sounding board and a stabilizing force for Blake. Though he wasn't officially involved with the production, he reportedly offered guidance whenever creative disputes arose. Some even claimed that his production experience and influence within Hollywood gave Blake the confidence to hold her ground when decisions became complicated. That dynamic, the power couple synergy between Blake and Ryan, may well have tipped the balance. While Justin Baldoni was juggling the immense challenge of directing and acting simultaneously, Blake had a seasoned strategic partner behind her. It wasn't open confrontation, it was quiet power. For Justin, that meant constantly walking a fine line between artistic vision and diplomacy. The insider described him as patient and composed, though at times overshadowed by Blake's larger-than-life presence. Even so, they said he handled it with grace, keeping his focus on completing the film rather than fueling the drama. But here's the twist. Long after the cameras stopped rolling, subtle signs began to suggest the story wasn't over. Something about the way Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni moved on from It Ends With Us hinted that tension might still be simmering quietly behind the scenes. When production officially wrapped, most assumed the drama had been left on set, but that was only the beginning. As post-production got underway and the film's release approached, it became clear that all was not entirely well. Public appearances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes clips hinted at a faint but unmistakable divide between the two stars, a distance that fans couldn't help but notice. During the early rounds of promotion, Blake Lively appeared poised and polished, sticking closely to carefully scripted talking points about the film and its message. Justin Baldoni, meanwhile, centered his attention on the creative process, the directing choices, the performances, and the story's emotional core. It was subtle, but people online began to notice how rarely he and Blake Lively spoke about each other. Even during joint appearances, their exchanges seemed professional rather than warm. Industry insiders suggested this was deliberate. Ryan Reynolds was said to have played a quiet yet significant role in shaping Blake's media strategy. According to speculation, he advised her to remain composed, avoid controversy, and let the finished film speak for itself. And it worked. Blake Lively managed to sidestep direct conflict while maintaining complete control over her public image, a feat few actors in similar circumstances could pull off so gracefully. Justin Baldoni, on the other hand, took a more introspective route. Through his podcast and interviews, he explored themes of vulnerability and leadership on set, never naming names, but clearly alluding to his experience. It was his way of addressing what happened, not through confrontation, but through reflection. Many admired that restraint, calling it mature and thoughtful. This difference in approach only deepened fans' fascination with their dynamic. Some believed Blake and Ryan had carefully orchestrated every step of her post-production narrative. Others saw Justin as the quiet hero, the director who weathered the storm and still managed to create something meaningful. Yet amid all the speculation, one truth stood out. Whatever happened between them on set didn't stay there. It followed them into the spotlight, subtly reshaping how audiences viewed both stars long after filming ended. And even now, as It Ends With Us continues to spark discussion, one question lingers. Did Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni ever truly make peace? Or did Hollywood simply learn to disguise the tension better? Every Hollywood story has two sides, the one the public sees and the one hidden behind the curtain. And when it comes to Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Ryan Reynolds, those two sides tell very different truths. Looking back, it's clear that what happened on the set of It Ends With Us was never just about creative differences. It was about power, who held it, how it was used, and how it quietly shaped the story that reached the audience. Blake Lively entered the project as a commanding force, confident, experienced, and fiercely protective of her image. For her, this wasn't just another film. It was an opportunity to showcase her range, to redefine herself beyond the glamorous roles that had long defined her career. With Ryan Reynolds by her side, she had more than support. She had strategy. Together, they've built a reputation for navigating Hollywood as equals, always one step ahead of public perception. That reputation gave Blake a level of influence few could rival. Justin Baldoni, meanwhile, took on the project wearing two hats, actor and director. That dual responsibility brought immense pressure and scrutiny from every angle. He had to manage performances, technical decisions, and the expectations of a passionate fan base devoted to Colleen Hoover's novel. Yet through it all, insiders described him as calm, approachable, and deeply committed to the film's emotional message. Even amid conflict, he stayed focused on the work, a quality that earned him quiet respect across the industry. When the film finally premiered, audiences had no idea how much tension had existed behind the scenes. On the surface, everything appeared flawless. Blake Lively commanding the red carpet in dazzling fashion, Justin Baldoni speaking thoughtfully about his vision as a director, and Ryan Reynolds standing at a distance, the ever-strategic observer. It was a masterclass in image control, and it worked. The public saw unity, even if the truth behind it was far more complex. Over time, the conversation surrounding "It Ends With Us" shifted away from the behind-the-scenes drama and towards interpretation. Was Blake Lively asserting her creative power, or simply protecting the integrity of her work? Was Justin Baldoni struggling to balance artistry with authority? And was Ryan Reynolds the quiet, unseen hand guiding it all from behind the scenes? In the end, perhaps the answers matter less than what they reveal. Hollywood has always been the intersection of art and ambition, and this story was no exception. Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Ryan Reynolds each played their roles flawlessly, on camera, off camera, and everywhere in between. Maybe that's the real lesson here. In Hollywood, the most powerful stories aren't always written in the script. Sometimes they're hidden between the lines. Now that we've traced the full timeline, from the first whispers on set to the quiet way everything seemed to resolve, one thing is clear. The truth behind "It Ends With Us" isn't black and white. Blake Lively entered the project with experience, influence, and a clear vision for what she wanted the film to be. Justin Baldoni brought heart, direction, and the patience required to balance creativity with pressure. And Ryan Reynolds, though never officially part of the production, may have been the silent force keeping everything steady when tensions rose. In the end, the public saw only the finished product, a romantic drama rich with emotion, color, and meaning. But for those paying closer attention, the real story wasn't about the script at all. It was about the people behind it, their choices, their pride, their humanity. And perhaps that's what makes this tale so captivating. It reminds us that Hollywood isn't merely about lights, cameras, and red carpet glamour. It's about power, how it's shared, how it's used, and how it quietly shifts hands without anyone noticing. So, the next time you watch Blake Lively command the screen or hear Justin Baldoni speak passionately about storytelling, think about the layers beneath, the subtle decisions, the quiet maneuvers, the moments of silence that tell the real story. If you've made it this far, thank you for staying until the end. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Was this simply creative tension blown out of proportion? Or was there more happening beneath the surface? Share your opinions in the comments below. This one's definitely worth a conversation. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to give it a like. It helps the channel grow and allows me to keep creating videos like this. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and remember, in Hollywood, what's left unsaid is often the most revealing part of the story.